they had this game. They would meet once a week, and they would have a phrase. Somebody would be in charge of bringing a phrase in, and they would everybody in the room would have to write a song with that phrase in it, and that was pretty much it. Like 2 minutes at least.
Right.
Had to have some sort of accompaniment.
Right.
And you came back in the next week and you played it for everybody, and that was the game.
Yeah.
Whoever.
I remember getting emails about that.
Yeah. Whoever doesn't do it, gets kicked out.
Yeah.
Literally, like, you don't come back the next week.
Yeah.
Until there's one person left, and you're just in a room by yourself, and you win, apparently.
Well.
But so Ray took that idea and made it virtual. I guess Ray did it. I don't really know who started it. This is a few years ago, and did the same kind of thing. So he reached out, email list, people that he knew, songwriters, and and said, here's the rules if you want to sign up. And so we'd send in songs every week, and it's the same kind of thing, man. I did it because I didn't feel productive at the time, and I just needed some kind of peer pressure.
Yeah.
Even a small amount of peer pressure to make me write something every week, even if it was just shit, even if it was total crap.
Right.
Just to do something. But I'll tell you what happened for me, that little prompt, that phrase, almost every week, and I didn't think this was going to happen, that prompt made it for me. Because instead of just going, okay, it's a total blank canvas, I got to write some shit today.
Right.
I'm being a professional songwriter. Instead of that, and it could be nothing. It could be like, margarine. It could be but immediately, almost every time, when I look at that phrase, something would pop in my head.
Yeah.
Some story or some line, and within 2 hours, I'd have the better part of a song that I didn't hate almost every week.
Yeah.
And it was because there was a limitation. It was a small limitation.
Right.
It didn't require me to do anything particular, but there was some sort of thing that I wrote around.
Yeah.
And when you came in, I was working on this, kind of Motown sounding thing that's more or less, it's for a paycheck.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
Companies that buy stuff that sounds a certain way, but it's a fantastic way to get inspired. I know that it needs to sound like a 60s soul track. I love 60s soul. Yeah. Awesome. So it's not second guessing yourself 1,000 times.
Right.
Most of what's there has to be in that realm. I'm not going to play something I'm not going to try to throw some crazy changes in there that have nothing to do with Motown. Right. There's a certain vocabulary that I'm going to stick to.
Yeah.
Dude, that mode of artistry can be incredibly helpful. I mean, I know some people probably disagree and think that it's not necessarily 100% original to work within those kind of things, but I think having some limitations, whether they're technical limitations or whether they're, something you force yourself into this, in this one box, can be extremely helpful. There's nothing that says you can't exit that when you need to.
Of course.
But if you're having a writer's block or if you're just feeling unproductive, which is a lot of times that's my thing. Most artists I know struggle with money and all that stuff. That's life. But I get really frustrated when I'm not productive. When 2 weeks have gone by and I haven't written anything that I like, or I haven't recorded anything that I feel good about, or I haven't mixed something the correct way. That gets me into a pretty deep funk. You know? So that little songwriter group, I've done it. I'm still, that's off and on for 2.5 years, and I've written way more tunes in those 2.5 years than probably I ever have in my life. Yeah, full tunes.
Yeah, well, I don't think people realize that songwriting as a craft is exactly that. Mm-hmm. Is you have to work on it, and it doesn't all have to be good. No. I think people are too afraid of failing. Right. When you're learning how to do something, it's inevitable that you're going to fail, and you have to accept that, and you have to relish the fact that this is going to be bad. And then the next one's not going to be as bad. And then 50 of them later, it's going to be you might even have something that goes on a record. Right. I don't think people realize that songwriting is exactly like learning how to play the piano or any of that. You have to hone it in like a craft. I think that the catalyst of being given a phrase or given an idea takes that initial 2 hours of staring at the wall, which I know I do often. Yeah. And it takes that away. And like you just said, it just gives you something to start building off of. When you said margarine a second ago, whether or not that was even ever one of them, like I could probably spend 5 minutes and come up with some kind of tagline for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That would align with my musical tastes. Right. And so I think that's a fantastic idea that definitely it's like throwing someone in the water who doesn't know how to swim. Like, they'll figure it out, but they're not going to do it by themselves. They're not going to jump in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. There has to be, that having, I mean, probably if you're more than 13 years old, maybe some people that are younger than that, you probably have the emotional content, and the actual vocabulary to be able to craft a lyric that you'll care about. That's really, at the end of the day, that's all I get. If you care about it, if it connects, if you can connect with it, that's really all that matters. Yeah. I mean, really, because again, you could think you have the next hit song and it could do shit. Yeah. You can't write. I mean, I love pop music. I'll write a pop song because I like to write it. But if you think about chasing some other thing, that's dumb. But yeah, you're right. Having somebody say, "Hey, today we're going to write a song that we're going to pitch to Katy Perry."
Right. Automatically, you're already thinking, what does she sound like? Yep. How is this constructed? And in an hour, you've got a concept.
Right. And man, if you choose your favorite, 5 artists and you spend a month every day just alternating between those 5 artists, you can't copy those guys. You can, no one can. You can't. I mean, you could have the same chord structure and you could sing the same melody on a page, but man, I'm not going to sound like Stevie Wonder. I'm not going to sound like Bill Withers. I'm not going to sound like any of those cats. Right. It's going to change dramatically the feel of the tune just because of the voice that's on it. Even if you could pull a Motown track, right? Stems off the internet, and if you sing on it, it's going to change the feeling that has, probably for the worse. You just never do that, right? Because I heard one of these yesterday. Is why I'm thinking about it. Somebody.
Was it a Michael McDonald does soul record?
No. This was worse. This was just some cat, no one that just a guy at home that pulled down some Marvin Gaye stems, like the real stems, and then replaced the voice. Like, why would you do that?
That's not a good idea.
No, it was a terrible idea. But I will say this: the moment that he started singing, I didn't even recognize the track.
Oh wow!
He wasn't a terrible singer, but it changed the vibe of the whole thing so much. And that was the same exact song, the same exact writing. Right. So when you sit down and I don't know that you should try to mimic something. I never sit down with an intention to mimic something, but probably I don't know if you have this kind of same. In our band, if something doesn't have a title yet, or we're not there yet, we just have a groove or whatever. We'll say something like the Stevie song, we'll call it something that it like. But by the time it's done, 99% of the time, it doesn't. No one would jump to that conclusion, like oh, you copied such and such. Right. But sometimes it really. I mean, if that's what inspired you, if you can, for me, I love making soul music. I love that element, even if it's a pop album, a record, a pop song. Trying to work some of that stuff into it is fun for me. That's part of the fun of making a song, writing a tune. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that approach. It won't always be that. Some days you'll have your heart broken and you won't need any kind of inspiration at all. You'll go in and you'll play 3 chords and it'll be perfect.
Like, listen here, bitch.
Yeah.